I read 10 books and finished 2 series in the month of July. Let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Lacey, I love to read. Thanks for coming to my channel. This month was pretty good. I read 10 books, which is a high for me this year. I have not read 10 books in a month, or maybe I have and I just don't remember, but I was very proud of myself. And I finished 2 series that I've been wanting to finish, so it's been a very good reading month. But before we get into it, let's give some details for this video. So I have 5 romance books, 3 fantasy books, 1 thriller, and 1 literary fiction. And now we can get into it. The first book that I finished in July was A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. This is a fantasy book. It was 703 pages and I rated it 5 stars. This is the 3rd book in the ACOTAR series and it follows Feyre still and Rhysand, but it starts off with Feyre. Also, spoiler warning, if you haven't read book 1, maybe don't listen to this next part, but Feyre is back in the Spring Court and she's gathering information. She ends up back at the Night Court and it's time to start figuring out what to do for the war. And so it's very much, you get to see all the courts, which was really fun. It's very action-packed. It's very long, but it's worth it. And I really loved the character development of a lot of characters in this book and it was really enjoyable. It did take a while, but I finished it in July, so it's a July read. I moved directly onto A Court of Frost and Starlight, which is also by Sarah J. Maas, also a fantasy, and this is the 3rd and a half book in the ACOTAR series, and it's 232 pages. I rated it 4 stars. I thought it was really fun to get a sight into the winter solstice right after the war. I think it was a nice bridge from A Court of Wings and Ruin into A Court of Silver Flames. I think it definitely needed to happen so that we didn't just go from Feyre and Rhysand for the past 2 books straight into the next book, which is focused on Cassian and Nesta. I really like this. It just details all of the people within Rhysand's court and how they spent their winter solstice. I thought it was a really easy, obviously it was only 230 pages after the behemoth that was A Court of Wings and Ruin. So it was fun, it was easy, and I liked it. And then I read my first ever ARC. So I read The Art of Us by Jules Cohen. I actually signed up and got picked to read an ARC of this book. So I was super excited. An ARC is an advanced reader copy. And so I was sent an ARC to review and I had a fun time kind of doing this process for the first time. It was definitely something I'd like to do again. And this book is a contemporary romance book. It was 329 pages and I rated it 4 stars. So this book follows Quinn, who is an engineer in New York who unexpectedly gets laid off and decides to follow her passion and take what she thought is random job in Montana. And so she goes to this very small town and meets Parker, who is the owner of the coffee shop where she's painting the mural. So he knows she's only gonna be there for a short period of time. She knows she's only gonna be there for a short period of time, but inevitably they fall for each other. And it's really sweet. It's a really sweet read. The small town vibes are the most Gilmore Girl small town vibes I've read in a book lately. So it was really fun. My only qualm with this book was that it was a slow burn, but I didn't really find it to be a slow burn. Typically for me, a slow burn takes the entire book to get to their point of being together. And I felt like they were together very quickly. Instead of being a slow burn, it was more so they shouldn't, and kind of like forbidden because they knew that she was moving away rather than being a slow burn. But I thought it was such a cute read. I thought it was a great debut novel. I definitely plan to read the next book. It's gonna be a series and I'm excited to read the rest. I really like the friendships in there. Quinn made friends with some of the other girls in the small town, which was really fun. And her friend came to visit from New York. And so that was really sweet as well. And I just thought it was a really easy going, fun book to read. The next book I read was Normal People. And I thought I was gonna love this. Oh, let's give some stats. This book is by Sally Rooney. It's a literary fiction novel and it is 273 pages and I rated it 3 stars. I did do the audiobook of it because I have been having a longer commute this summer. And so I figured, let's go for it. Also, I know that there's no quotation marks like when they talk. So I figured audiobook would be the best choice. I liked the audiobook. However, I didn't love the premise nor the way it worked out. So this book is about Connell and Marianne. They grew up in the same town. Connell's mom cleaned Marianne's family's house. However, Connell was more popular. He was very outgoing. He did sports. A lot of people liked him. He was just a cool guy in high school, and Marianne was very much a loner. A lot of people talked about her behind her back. And so they had kind of an unlikely friendship turned relationship that was very hidden. And then as time went on, they went to college, they ended up going to the same college, and they just keep connecting and missing each other, connecting and missing each other over and over and over again. And I felt like if they could just get there, things would be great, but it just felt very drawn out. And that's kind of crazy because it was under 300 pages, but I feel like I didn't necessarily connect with Marianne, nor did I connect with Connell. And so I think for me, if I connected with one of those characters, I might have liked this book more, but since I didn't connect, I just was kind of going through the motions, listening to it, and just ready for it to be over. But I've heard that the TV show is amazing, so I'll probably watch it still, but I don't know if I'm gonna pick up another Sally Rooney. Let me know in the comments if you think I should, but I don't know. It just wasn't for me. The next book I read, I started or got back into the Honey Mountain series. So I read Evermind by Laura Pavlov. This is the second book in the Honey Mountain series. It was 352 pages and I rated it 4.5 stars. I actually really like this. This book is about Ever and Hawk, and they were childhood best friends, turned lovers, turned never speaking again, until Hawk requests Everly as their sports psychologist for his hockey team, and the two of them move back to their hometown to work on his mental game. So that's where it starts. It was really fun. Honestly, I am loving Laura Pavlov's writing. I feel like it's so easy to get into and it's so enjoyable, which is all you really want from a book, right? Like, you just want to enjoy it. And I feel like with Laura Pavlov's writing, I just enjoy it, and there's nothing better than that, right? And so this is the second book, like I said, in the Honey Mountain series. It's all small town set in Honey Mountain. But obviously, as you could tell, Everly and Hawk had kind of gone elsewhere in the world, and then they're coming back to their hometown. And obviously they rekindle their relationship. But I really liked it. I feel like the Thomas girls, which is who the female main characters in the series are, you can connect with at least one of them, if not every single one, in different ways. And so I just really loved hearing Everly's life and her story, and, you know, how she ended up where she was and how they ended up back together. I just thought it was really fun. And then my only thriller for the month was What Lies Between Us by John Mars. It was recommended to me by a subscriber, which was awesome. And I really liked this one. This is probably one of my favorite John Mars books. So this book was 379 pages. I rated it 4.25 stars, and it is, as I said, a thriller. So you are set in this house, and you get two perspectives and two timelines. So you get two perspectives. You get Maggie and Nina, and they are both in this house, and there are a lot of things that Maggie has done that Nina cannot forgive her for. So Maggie is not allowed to leave the house. Maggie is stuck in this house because of Nina, and you get to kind of slowly uncover why Nina's keeping her there and what she learned and what happened in their life 25 years ago, I believe. I could totally be wrong. I'm wrong about a lot of stuff, okay? We're just talking about books and having a good time. No stress. But it's just a really interesting premise. The only reason it wasn't even higher stars is the ending for me wasn't one of my favorite endings. However, I just really enjoyed this book. It was really fun to read and it was very engaging, and I think that I'm not going to give up on John Mars yet, but I really enjoyed it. After that thrilling book, I went right back to Honey Mountain and I started the third book, which is Make You Mine, again, by Laura Pavlov. This book is 352 pages and I rated it 4.25 stars. So for this one, it follows Ashlyn. She's the youngest sister in the Thomas family, and I had really, really high hopes going into this one, and I wasn't disappointed. Not to say that I was disappointed, but it is a single dad nanny, which after reading Caught Up, I'm kind of obsessed with. However, I don't think I've read another one until now, so maybe I'm not obsessed with it. But anyways, this is about Ashlyn and Jace. So Jace is a single dad. She's known him for a long time, not in a weird way. There is an age gap, but not like he's known her since she was a child. It's not that kind of age gap. But there is an age gap. He has two daughters, and she moves back to town after getting her degree, and she becomes their live-in nanny. It's really fun. She's also on the side becoming a romance author, which is really cool, and it's fun to see that perspective in a book. And for me, I was really eating this up. I was having a great time reading it, and then I didn't love the conflict. The conflict in this book kind of irked me, and that's fully a personal thing. Like, I know that for other people, they probably would love the conflict and be like, that makes so much sense. Of course. So glad it ended, you know? But for me, I was just like, hurry up and get to the end. So the conflict kind of bummed me out a little bit, but it's okay. It was still a great read. Still a really enjoyable time. I still think about this cute couple and the way that their relationship came together, and I just thought it was really fun. But yeah, the conflict was not it for me, but I don't think that means it's not it for you. And then we got to this huge book. I think this is the biggest book I've ever read. I listened to it on my long commute and it still took me forever. But this is is The Gord of Silver Flames. This is a Sarah J. Maas book. It is the final book that is out right now of the ACOTAR series. There are more to come. This book is very different in that it's not following Rhysand and Feyre, it is following Nesta and Cassian. And so it is following Nesta's journey after the war, and as you can tell, it's very long. I ended up rating it 4.5 stars, and it's 751 pages. So it is huge, in my opinion. It's not just about Nesta after the war, it's a lot about her backstory and Cassian's backstory and how they ended up together. And I thought it was just a really good read. The reason it's not 5 stars, I found that a lot of points lulled. I just felt like we were kind of doing nothing, if that makes sense. And I love that she kind of found her place. She found her friends, which was really cool. And I think that they both had really similar, Cassian and Nesta have really similar goals and dreams. And so it was really cool to see them together and see them kind of working towards that in different ways. I was kind of over the talk of the war again, another war looming. I was so over it. And I was really mad at first. I was like, is this really how it ends? I can't believe that people have been recommending this series knowing that it leaves on a huge, huge, huge cliffhanger. And it actually wrapped it up pretty well. So I'm very interested to see where the next book is going to go. But overall, I just thought it was beautiful. I loved the glimpses of Rhysand and Nesta. That was the best part. And Nesta, Feyre. Oh my God. Okay. Apologies. The glimpses of Rhysand and Feyre. I apologize. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good. And then I had my favorite book of the Honey Mountain series right after that, which is Simply Mine by Laura Pavlov once again. And this book is 363 pages and I rated it 5 stars. I love this book. This book is Charlotte's book. So she is a twin. Her twin Dylan is the next book. But she's a kindergarten teacher in Honey Mountain, and her best friend's brother, who also happened to be her childhood crush, who also kind of was her childhood best friend and kind of almost lover, he's back in town because he is an architect and they're trying to get him to build the middle school. And it is honestly like a comfort read at this point. I felt so seen in this book. I love when people question their career, and of course, Ledger did. I saw a lot of myself in Charlotte, which was really nice to read and felt very, like, it made me feel very seen. I loved their conflict. I loved the way they got together. I loved the nickname. He calls her Ladybug, which is cute, and it's like a backstory. Like, she saved ladybugs, I'm pretty sure, as a kid, which was very cute. And I just thought, honestly, all aspects of this book, I just really enjoyed, and I want to reread it, but I have a lot of other books to read. But I just thought this book was just so good. And I really loved it. And it makes me smile just thinking about. So I loved it. I'm so glad I got to it this month. And then to round out the month, I finished the Honey Mountain series. This was my second series finishing this month. I finished ACOTAR for the time being, and I finished Honey Mountain. This is the 5th book in Honey Mountain. How many times can I say that? This is only mine. Laura Pavlov. 365 pages, 4.5 stars. This book is about Dylan, which is Charlotte's twin sister. Dylan is definitely one of those characters who kind of like plays to the beat of her own drum. And I really like her. I thought she was very funny, and she meets Wolf, which is her technical boss. And she kind of accidentally meets him earlier that day and flips him off and yells at him and talks badly about him without knowing that he's her boss. And then when they meet at the meeting, she's like, I'm gonna double down on what I did because you were acting like a jerk. And it starts their hilarious banter and their hatred for each other. And I would say this book is not enemies to lovers, it's like hatred to love. I just thought it was so good. He's an ex-Navy SEAL, and she is becoming a lawyer for this NHL team. And so she's kind of on a trial basis, and they have to travel together and be around each other all the time, forced proximity. So fun. I just thought it was a great way to end the series. It was really fun, but also really sweet. I just really love a series, and I love all the sisters, and I feel like I said, you can find yourself, a piece of yourself in every single one of them. And I just really had a good time, and I'm glad that I finally read it. I'd like to know, like, one of your favorite books you read in July and a highlight from July in the comments below. But thank you so much for coming to my channel and watching my video. I really appreciate it, and I'm really grateful to have you here. I hope that you had a good July, and I hope that the books that you're reading are bringing you joy.